Oakridge Hills was the kind of neighborhood that made people feel safe. The streets were clean, the lawns trimmed just right, and the neighbors waved with warm smiles every morning. It was the kind of place where people left their doors unlocked and kids rode bikes until the sun went down. In the heart of this peaceful community lived Diane Keller, a woman everyone admired. She was the perfect suburban mom. Always dressed neatly, always polite, always present at every school event, bake sale, and town meeting. Diane was 38, married to a successful dentist named Mark, and mother to 2 young children. Their home was painted a soft cream color with blue shutters and a white picket fence, exactly the kind of house you'd find on the cover of a home magazine. She made fresh meals every night, posted cheerful photos on social media, and ran a small online candle business that her friends loved to support. To anyone watching, Diane had it all: the family, the house, the reputation. People saw her as dependable, loving, and deeply involved in her community. Teachers said she was the kind of parent every school wished for. Her neighbors described her as the glue of the street, always checking in on others, always smiling. But there was something else behind that smile. Something no one noticed. Diane had a look in her eye sometimes, just for a second, when no one was paying close attention. A flicker of something too hard to explain. No one questioned it. After all, everyone has their off days. And people like Diane don't just break the rules. At least, that's what they thought, until the day a secret started to unravel. A secret so deep that it would make everyone in Oakridge Hills question how well they ever really knew her at all. It started with something small, so small it almost went unnoticed. A teenage boy walking his dog through the woods behind Oakridge Hills stumbled across a cracked, half-buried cell phone near a tree stump. Curious, he picked it up and brought it home, not thinking much of it. His mother, concerned it might belong to someone in trouble, turned it into the local police. The phone was badly damaged, but with the right tools, investigators managed to access its data. What they found didn't just raise questions, it set off alarms. The phone contained messages written in codes, unfamiliar contacts with usernames instead of real names, and a hidden folder filled with documents, fake driver's licenses, social security numbers, and digital banking records. There were screenshots of crypto wallets with large sums and detailed instructions about online transfers, dark web links, and how to avoid detection. One name kept appearing in the background data: Diane Keller. The investigators initially thought it might be a mistake. Diane Keller, the woman who baked cookies for school events? The woman who posted Bible quotes and family selfies? It didn't make sense. But the more they dug, the harder it became to deny the connection. A quiet investigation began. Authorities traced unusual Wi-Fi activity to Diane's home. Her IP address matched that of a hidden online marketplace known for selling stolen information and prescription drugs. A deeper digital trail showed multiple deliveries, aliases, and a private cryptocurrency wallet growing steadily in value over several years. Diane had been leading a double life, hiding behind her soft voice and family photo albums. Beneath the surface of school runs and Sunday brunches, she was operating an illegal cyber network. The police couldn't understand how no one had seen it. But the truth was simple: she had made her real life the perfect disguise. For nearly 3 years, Diane operated her secret life with precision. She followed strict routines, never made mistakes, and kept her online activity hidden behind layers of encrypted networks and burner accounts. Her transactions were always digital, her buyers faceless, and her deliveries handled by third-party drop points. It was all calculated, controlled, safe. But the safety didn't last. One evening, Diane received a message from a new buyer, someone with a large order and an offer of triple the usual rate. The only catch: he insisted on meeting in person. She hesitated. It broke all of her rules. No faces. No names. No real-world contact. But the money was too good, and something about the tone of the messages felt familiar. Confident. Urgent. Against her better judgment, she agreed. She chose a quiet motel parking lot 3 towns over and arrived at dusk, wearing a black hoodie, sunglasses, and a wig. She clutched a padded envelope filled with USB drives and prescription pills. The man she met was average-looking, calm, and seemed to know exactly what he was doing. But something felt off. His car engine was still running. His eyes moved too quickly. And when she caught a glimpse of a badge tucked beneath his coat, her instinct screamed. Diane didn't wait. She dropped the envelope and walked away quickly, then broke into a run, disappearing into the nearby woods before he could follow. Back home, she panicked. She deleted accounts, wiped her devices, and burned paper records in the fireplace. She pulled her kids out of school the next day without telling anyone why. Her nerves were shot, and her perfect life was cracking. That single meeting, just a few minutes long, shook her world. She had always been careful, always stayed in control. But now, she knew someone was watching. Just 2 weeks after the failed meeting, Oakridge Hills woke to the flashing lights of police cars, ambulances, and crime scene tapes stretched across the Keller residence. The neighborhood buzzed with confusion and fear. People stood outside in pajamas, whispering to each other, trying to make sense of what had happened. Inside the Keller home, officers found a chilling scene. Mark Keller, Diane's husband, was lying lifeless in the living room. The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. The room was in disarray, broken glass, overturned furniture, and blood smeared across the hardwood floor. The children, still in their pajamas, were found upstairs. They were unharmed but frightened, unable to explain what had happened. Diane was nowhere to be found. A neighbor's security camera offered the only clue. Just after midnight, Diane was seen leaving her house with a large suitcase in one hand and a baseball bat in the other. She walked with urgency, her head down, her pace quick. There was no sign of panic, just quiet determination. The police launched a manhunt, alerting nearby towns and combing through her digital history. It didn't take long to find her. She had rented a self-storage unit under a false identity only a few days before. That's where they found her, sitting on the cold concrete floor, legs crossed, surrounded by cash, burner phones, and hard drives. Her clothes were dirty, her hair tangled, and her hands covered in small scratches. She didn't resist arrest. She didn't cry or explain. She simply stared straight ahead as they led her out. In that moment, the suburban mom who once baked cookies for the neighborhood was gone. What remained was a woman completely unraveled, the weight of her 2 lives finally crushing her from within. As the investigation unfolded, so did the complicated layers of Diane Keller's life. Prosecutors built their case piece by piece, uncovering years of secret activity. There were emails under different names, offshore accounts, and a network of anonymous clients that stretched across state lines. But what fascinated investigators most wasn't just the criminal side of Diane, it was the question of why. How could someone who seemed so loving, so involved, become capable of such deception and violence? Psychological evaluations revealed a woman under intense, invisible pressure. For years, Diane had lived under the shadow of expectations, being the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect image. Mark, her husband, wasn't abusive in a way the world could see. Instead, he controlled everything quietly, her money, her schedule, even her friendships. He expected perfection at all times. The house had to be spotless, the children flawless, the meals gourmet. Every mistake was a personal failure in his eyes. The online criminal world gave Diane something she'd never had before: control. Power. A voice. At first, it was small, selling unused medications, experimenting with digital anonymity. But it quickly grew, fueled by both fear and adrenaline. She began to believe she could manage both lives, until Mark found out. He had discovered her hidden accounts and threatened to expose her. The confrontation turned into shouting, then into something worse. Diane snapped. Not in rage, but in panic. In one final, desperate moment, she chose silence over exposure. The court sentenced her to 32 years in prison, and Oakridge Hills would never be the same. People still walked past the Keller home, unable to understand how someone so familiar could hold such deep secrets. In the end, Diane's story became a haunting reminder: the quietest people often carry the loudest storms within.